Miss ma'am, can you remember what you did last weekend, or is it all a blur of Instagram reels and TikTok dances? I'm not coming for you. This isn't a guilt trip. This is a wake-up call and an invitation to change. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that hits us all at home, and that is the art of scrolling your life away. And more importantly, how to break the cycle and release yourself from the digital trance. In this video, you'll learn how to reclaim your time, remember your forgotten passions, improve your relationships, and be more productive than ever before. So if you're curious about what life could be like with less screen time, please stick around, because the lessons I'm about to share with you just might change your life. Because maybe, just maybe, it is that damn phone. So grab a pen and let's dive in. Must be my energy. Picture this. It's 3 a.m. and you are glued to your phone, promising yourself over and over again, just 5 more minutes, or like I'll just do like a couple more scrolls, maybe like one more video. Trust me, I know this sounds familiar because we've all been there, but we've all been there not just once. We've all probably been there more times than we can even remember. But what if there was a way to actually break the cycle and start getting your life back? That, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly what I did. For the lighting! Before we get really into it, I just want to say, guys, the lighting might be crazy throughout this video because the sun is literally setting on me. Just listen to the actual insights. Get the knowledge, girl. Get the knowledge. Focus on the knowledge, girl. Okay? That's a little bit though, right? Yes. Okay, anyway, let's focus. For one entire week of my adult life, I went with no phone, no TV, no media, but it also instantly changed my life. I did go ahead and write down like some rules and regulations I was going to give to myself, and I also did a little bit of research on YouTube just to figure out how I was going to do this as a person. What I did was I gathered up like all of my devices, but I let myself still have one of my phones that's like completely clean and really wiped off, and I was allowed to use that for emergencies only, and GPS. I just now learned how to drive. It would be a danger to myself and others to drive this vehicle without GPS. I was allowed to have a camera as long as it didn't connect to the internet, so I was only allowed to film for documenting purposes, so that I could share my experience with you guys and also remember it. And then I did give myself the grace of letting myself use the Alexa that's upstairs, so I did take the Alexa that was in my bedroom out of my bedroom. That was probably one of the hardest things of this entire challenge, was having no Alexa. I did try to like lay off of asking Alexa questions in order to force myself to use my own brain, which I will get into in a minute. Once I had put everything in the box, I was like, oh crap, what am I supposed to do with myself? I decided that I was gonna print out a bunch of books because again, I decided to do this like that, and I printed myself coloring pages so that I could color when I reached, you know, sheer levels of absolute freaking boredom, which by the way, did happen. It's so funny now, like looking back at it, because I do recognize where I was literally preparing myself for like the tech-free apocalypse. Like I was like, oh shit, like what do I do? I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this did start out as an experiment. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, document it, make a YouTube video, cool, blah, blah, blah. But then I slowly started to realize that this was really turning into more of like an intervention, because one, I had caught myself on the scrolling loop, which is part of the reason that I had this idea. I was like, okay, I gotta do something, right? My sleeping pattern had gotten to be completely off, and I'm very much so like an early morning girl. That was very out of line, and I think that this was way deeper than I anticipated it being after I had the experience, which is why I'm sharing these lessons with you guys. So yeah, I guess we'll get started. I actually remember this. The first thing I learned was that eating is boring as fuck. I genuinely couldn't remember the last time I had a meal without watching something on my phone. I literally could not remember the last time I just sat and genuinely like stared at food and ate food. This actually led me to the bigger lesson that mindfulness and meditation are not the same thing. And before this moment, I really thought that they were. For those of you who don't meditate, I'll explain what meditation is. Meditation is basically like the practice of conscious relaxation, and it's about, you know, letting your thoughts flow and then getting back to your breath and just focusing on breathing and allowing yourself like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. Mindfulness is not the same thing, and I always thought it was. It's not true. Mindfulness is actually kind of the opposite. It's about being totally focused and totally present and like active in the mundane actions that you do in your day-to-day life. And to me, that was mind-boggling, because I was like, dude, I consider myself a mindful person. Mindful? I don't think so. I don't think I was. I recognize where I didn't understand the true meaning of mindfulness until I had to sit and eat food in stark silence with no phone. Now I do agree with where people say like, you know, mindful eating will make you really appreciate food and you'll have gratitude and you'll taste more flavors and all that kind of stuff. And that is true, because you will. Because you'll be required to focus on the food that you're like, this feels good, like this food is so bomb. People in stoner movies, they're like, oh yeah, this food is so bomb, because they're literally doing nothing else but like, oh. And I feel like you can totally have the sensation when you're perfectly sober, just we don't spend the time to be that mindful when you're totally sober. So like, that was kind of cool. And I would say that this experience as a whole will require more mindfulness than I've experienced since I was a child. Like, this is the most mindful I have ever been in my entire life. After 4th grade, I always had a phone. Having no phone or TV really genuinely made me sit with my thoughts. You need to sit with yourself sometimes, and sit with yourself by yourself with no phone or no media. And here's why. It's like two sides of a coin, because one, it made me so much more aware of everything that was living rent free in my head. Like, if you want to find out if you're a future person or a past person, like really spend some time without your phone, because I consider myself a very like future oriented person. I'm always like, what am I going to do next, and how do I build my future, and what do I do in order to, you know, make my life better. But what I realized was that like I'm actually very much so in my head as it pertains to being in the past, and people were literally living in my head in freaking bar lounges, like just freaking vibing, chilling, having a coke and a beer in my mind half the time, where like they weren't even relevant to my current reality, that I was still thinking about them consciously, and the things that happened in my past on a regular basis. To what end? How did that serve me? It did not. It also made me realize on a media level how many people I was still following and consuming on a regular basis that I had no intention of ever actually reconnecting with in physical reality. Didn't want to continue to think about them, not in the way that like, oh, I don't want to think about your ass, like no, none of that. Genuinely, it's like, why am I following this? How is this serving me in any way, shape, or form? How is this adding value into my life? And just recognizing where like I'm following you out of social obligation or out of feeling like I'm required to by like some upper above me thing. Like, what the fuck? Like, no, I don't have to follow you anymore, and I don't have to keep thinking about you or the things that you said or did or the way that you treated me. Like, let's move on, maybe. On the other side of sitting with your thoughts, I had throughout this experience so many genuinely incredible ideas that are now transforming my life. The sheer amount of downloads, and I call them downloads because it's like, you know, like you say like, oh, it's like the thoughts from God, or like your inner being is finally talking, or like whatever works for your woo woo, whatever your woo woo is, that woo woo, the woo that's in the things in your brain, whatever you believe that is, that woo woo, she was kicking in. She was like, girl, boom, 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 like here are the thoughts, here are the receipts, boom, my God. It was because I was literally sitting there open, with my mind open versus my mind being consumed to all of those thoughts, feelings, and ideas, and opinions that are my own versus opinions that are my own, finally like showing up in my brain. Other people's thoughts, feelings, and opinions were showing up in my brain constantly. It was my own thoughts, feelings, and opinions showing up in my brain. That was amazing. That's how you got this channel, yo. Because I want to share this. If you guys are interested in learning more stuff like this, like self-improvement stuff and things that are gonna help you grow and shine and develop, like that is what this channel is going to be all about from here on out. That's what I now feel called to do, because I literally had the time to sit and hear my calling. The tea is tea. One of the other things that I did come to learn, you're gonna have to sit with your feelings. When you have your phone or your TV to just automatically run to, you're not required to sit with your feelings. I feel like for me, media and TV, and I feel like for a lot of people too, there's a certain amount of those things being comfort, and they should be comfort to you. That's part of what they're there for, right? And I recognize where it made me rip off the covers to the things that I was not willing to feel and made me feel them. Sitting with your feelings, how you get through your feelings, how you get healed enough to be able to be happier in the life that you're living, like the whole reality of it. So it's definitely worth it. You just got power through. And I know that that's like, you're going to sit with my feelings, but like, hear me out. You should. Now, on a totally different note, I do want to talk to you guys about people pleasing because I feel like that was something that was more personal to my own experience, but it is something I want to share with you guys. This is a people pleaser's absolute freaking nightmare. Like, there's so many different reasons why it's a people pleaser's nightmare. I don't even know how to begin to tell you guys. Like, this is just like, Number one, people's reactions to the fact that you're not going to have your phone for an extended period of time. There were so many people in my life who had visceral reactions to me not having my phone. And it wasn't even like the people I was worried about, like my agent or brands I was working with, anything like that. Like, they were all like super supportive, actually, which was kind of incredible and amazing. It's like, shout out to my team. I love y'all. No, it was like people who actively felt entitled to my time. And me going, well, I'm not going to be available to you, visceral reaction. Automatic negative reaction. And as a people pleaser, you're gonna have to kind of stand your ground and you gotta stand on business. And it's also a lesson in standing on business. But also, there were a lot of people who were like genuinely concerned about me. And they were like, oh, you're gonna be off of your phone for a week? Like, I hope you're okay. When in this lifetime did it become a concern for your literal you-ness as a whole for you not to be on your phone? Because it's been normalized by society to be on your phone constantly and to always be available on your phone constantly on a regular basis, especially when you're in the media industry. And this like disdain for the fact that I was choosing to do and be something different. Really like a little bit of an error of the reaction of almost everybody's reaction, honestly. And what that really taught me, like having to finally be like, no, I'm not gonna be on my phone for a week. I had to put me first. Like, I gotta put me first, Lucius. I gotta put me first. Like, that's literally what that shit felt like. And it was so hard to do. I have never been more grateful in my life for the fact that I prioritized myself and stood on business. Like, I literally changed my life in the process of doing that. Like, my identity changed. Like, who I am as a person changed with 1 week without my phone. That's mind-boggling to me even still. What I'll also say is that time felt longer. Like, you know how they always say, like, oh, when you're a little kid, weeks feel like forever. Is it really that when you're a little kid, weeks feel like forever? Or is that the last time we didn't have phones? The amount of time that was nonchalantly consumed by scrolling or by watching an episode in the background or having, you know, subliminals on YouTube or whatever on, my week had never felt longer in my life. And not in the way that I was like, oh my God, I need my phone. This week feels so long. Like, no, that wasn't it. It was more like whoa, there's so much more time in my week, availability for me to take action and do the things that I want to do. I didn't feel or realize how much time was getting consumed away when I was scrolling through TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. There's like a million platforms that we scroll through in a week. The amount of genuine time I realized was there that I didn't have before and just happened to have now, that was altering in itself to realize just how long a week actually is. And I think that is the first time a week felt like an actual week since I was a kid. In the process of this, not having my phone or TV actually ignited me into doing the things that I always want to do and the things that I love doing that aren't my phone or TV, because I spent my time on those things versus my time scrolling being entertained by media. I did get up and stretch. I did do my workouts. I did drink my water. I did do my meditation. I did my skincare. You know, every time I've gone to bed, so I'm like, oh, but I'm scrolling. I don't have makeup on until like it's time. You know, my skin was popping that entire week because I got up every time and did my skincare because I was like, well, not on my phone, might as well do my face. Perplexed. I read more in that week than I think I did all year long. And I read. But I read more. The book that I was reading was also incredibly insightful, and I was reading 13 things mentally strong people don't do, and I feel like that also influenced a lot of the lessons I learned throughout the experience. So if you do choose to do this, make sure that whatever books you pick are insightful books, or like, hey, if you want to live in your fantasy world, go ahead, but like the whole point is to not escape, so try to, you know, do something that's gonna fuel the brain. But I found myself a lot more without the phone and TV, asking myself like, oh, well, if I don't have my phone, what would I do? And then I started doing those things, and I started doing all the things I was wanting to do. Reframed what my brand was, I read books, I journaled, I stretched, I did my skincare, I painted for the first time in like forever and a half, but it was because I was like, oh, like, you know what, I'm gonna go get paint stuff. I wanted to paint for so long, and it finally just put me in the zone to be like, yeah, girl, go ahead and paint. I wrote a song. Those are things that I love doing and always want to do, but the time that I was spent doing them has been consumed by my phone, and it created the space. I also learned that I have been being more patient with others than I am with myself. I think that my level of impatience with myself has way more to do with my phone, and maybe some of you can relate to this as well. I am very impatient with myself when it comes to my career and my success and making things turn over and happen as fast as humanly possible. Like, my level of expectation for me is like 110 million%. I know that, people tell me all the time. But I recognize where part of that does come from my phone, and the fact that on my phone everything's immediate, instant gratification, and it doesn't take long for me to receive. It's gonna take some time for those things to happen, the things that I'm doing. And I was okay with waiting that amount of time. There was no rush in the way that like I wasn't trying to force it to happen faster than it was happening. I was just letting it happen at the speed it happens. I think as human beings of this generation, we've become so accustomed to automation that we forget that things take human time. And I think that sometimes I personally, and I know others who can beat themselves up for not being as fast as their phone, when in actuality our phone is supposed to help us be faster, not be how fast we are. I have no interest anymore in people pleasing the algorithm. That's what I learned. You are people pleasing your phone. I recognize where a lot of my social media career up until now, I was making pet content, which is like content that's very much so like in your face and entertains you and wows you, but it's not actually like feeding you anything of genuine value that will help you to prosper in your existence. And that is something that I'm changing after realizing and recognizing the differences in these types of content. And the lesson for that one is to consume less eater content. Like, don't be eaten by the platform, like, don't get consumed by it. You know, make sure that you're gaining inspiration from it, make sure that it's fueling you and helping you to grow, and make sure that the content that you're making is also doing that for other people. Oh! I think that this has genuinely helped me to understand content creation on a significantly deeper level and like what I want to do with it and how I want to take care of the people who are in my audiences. At the end of the day, it's so valuable to have 15 minutes of someone's time. If you act like the 5 people you hang around the most, who are the creators that you watch the most? Because that'll tell me who you are. Hey, I make like 26, 27-minute videos. That's 30 minutes a week that you spend with me. Do that every single week, once a week for an entire year, girl. I'm your bestie. You know what I mean? I think about the fact that when you're on Instagram, right? Like, you share stuff with your best friend, with your mom, with your dad, with your cousin, with your homegirl, with your coworker, like whatever. The fact that I am what you might share throughout that day, and like the thing that I say to you might be the thing that makes you guys relate to one another, and it's how you bond, the memes you send. That's an incredibly valuable thing. And it grows and develops a relationship. I know people who literally have friendships with people where like their whole friendship is them sending memes back and forth to each other. The value of the memes that they're consuming out of the day is just so high because that's how they relate to one another, to the people that they love. Like, you gotta care when you're making videos, man. Like, oh man, I get emotional about that, but like it just matters. It just matters what you make. It matters what people are consuming and what you share online. Like, oh, I'm not gonna cry. Hold on, I'm gonna talk about something else so I don't cry. There are other ways to wind down than TV. So what I definitely learned throughout this experience was that there are many different ways that you can wind down. You do not only have to watch TV at the end of the night to wind down. You can stretch, you can have a cup of tea, you can, you know, like talk to someone that you genuinely love and care about, or meditate, listen to subliminals, come into your restful state without it being your go-to run-of-the-mill watch TV and pass out, or scroll on your phone until you fall asleep, or don't fall asleep and you're sitting there scrolling, you're up till like 5 in the morning, like, oh crap, I gotta go work in 3 hours. I have recently been integrating that into my life and switching from TV being my wind down thing, especially since now I'm doing the morning mentality challenge and I gotta turn off my TV by 10 o'clock, implementing ways to not make the screen at the end of the day. I think it's just so mentally, emotionally, and physically healthy, especially for guys. This made me realize the importance of self-dates. I mean, I knew it, but now I have to preach about it, so hear me, hear me. I need a staff, I don't have one. Hear me. You are the longest relationship you are ever going to have in your whole life. You should be taking you on dates. You should be spending time with you. You should speak to you kindly. You should love you. You're your longest relationship. It's you. You are your husband. You are her. And for those of you that struggle with self-love or are high on levels of self-deprecation, this is the remedy. But even more in depth, what I realized is that like I personally love binge watching TV shows, right? And a lot of times binge watching shows comes with a lot of guilt. I don't know about you guys, but like I mean, I've been living in hustle culture for real, and and I have a lot of guilt around whenever I binge watch something. But imagine if I took myself on a date and I was like, hey babe, talk to me. Hey babe, you want to binge watch Grey's Anatomy on Friday night? The man said that to me. I'm like, right now, I'm just going down to pink. Okay? I mean, shooting a shot, he's scoring a basket, okay? That's all I'm saying. If I could be so hyped up just at the idea of somebody else doing that for me, wouldn't I love me for doing that for me? So why not just plan it and make sure that I actively make intentional time for my binge watching versus letting it consume me? I just thought that maybe somebody else might want to give that a whirl because I think that's gonna work and it has been working for me. So plan your binges. Just schedule them out. Make them intentional. So you don't feel guilty about it. You'd be like, no, I planned to spend this time with myself. I'll shut the fuck up. Another lesson was that a lot of your anxiety and depression probably stems from your phone. So I'm gonna tell y'all some tea that I'm not really supposed to share on the internet, but apparently today's the day I decided to do it. The way that these social platforms are set up are literally set up to give you anxiety. They have your eyes going up and down. Whenever you're scanning a situation, the amount of anxiety you receive from when you're like, oh shit, what's that? When you look, the way you scan it with your eyes is going to be opposing to this. Therefore, scrolling up and down over and over again with your eyes going up and down is literally triggering your anxiety. Because that is your body's natural response to an anxious situation and you're repeating it over and over and over and over and over again. I said some shit I wasn't supposed to say. Anyway, so that is also part of it. It is literally giving you anxiety. It's making you anxious enough to feel like you need more. That's being consciously aware of that. Make sure that you know every now and again when you watch something now, hit your listen rights. Okay, things that you can consume as content can actually bum you out. And it's about recognizing that you're addicted to being bummed by those things that will help you stop. So if you're one of those people, if you're watching this, hi, I love you, and I hope that you can learn to love yourself just a little bit more and love yourself enough to stop being addicted to being bummed out. Because you're addicted to being sad and you're addicted to going to that platform and it upsetting you. It's still a high level of frequency that you're addicted to, but it's a high negative frequency that you're addicted to. And I need you to tap in with yourself and be like, oh damn, I'm addicted to being sad. Like, I'm addicted to going and seeing what my ex is doing, even though we haven't been together for a year, and it bums me out every time I do it, but I have to see it. You're addicted to your sadness. I need you to break that, okay? The consumption of these platforms is consuming your life and the time you should be spending doing other activities to the point where it's causing you depression because you feel like you're falling behind, when in actuality you're not falling behind. You've just been scrolling for a long time. I said it. I said it. Reduce the mind clutter also. My mind clutter content is home decor. I know how to decorate a home. I do not need to watch any more goddamn home decor videos. At this point, I watch home decor videos and they're not saying a single thing that I don't already know. You know, just reduce the amount of how much you're consuming of things that you already actually have the information for. You don't need to watch 10 of the same video, baby girl. You got it somewhere in there, right now. You know how I say grab a pen, let's dive in? It's so that you write that shit down so you have to keep learning it. That's what I'm saying. Oh, let's get into it. You know, as reality is the reality you know. That is the lesson that I learned. Because I'm gonna use a prime time, great example. We're gonna roast me for a second. Actually, it's not really roast, but when I started an OnlyFans, from the perspective of somebody who actually has a well-developed understanding of social media and how platforms change over time. Fans is like OnlyFans, you know what I mean? But it also is just straight up a content platform where people can go and purchase additional content, and that's why I was treating the platform, because social media predicted that it was going to head in the direction of being just a straight up content platform. And I still do kind of think that. But hear me out. It was on the verge of doing that when I made that switch to be like, guys, go check out my OnlyFans. And I never posted like OnlyFans, and respect to the girls who do, because you got confidence, baby girl, and you got balls, and you are not scared of the career ramifications of doing that. And I respect the fuck out of you, girl, because you really be eating down, and I don't have the balls. I literally don't. Like, I have so much respect. When I went on that platform, a lot of platforms that we utilize today were OnlyFans type platforms before. So Snapchat used to be a Snapchat, and Twitter used to be Twitter, and which is now X, which is ironic because it's called X. Like Reddit, you can still read it a little bit. You know what I mean? A lot of times those platforms are converted into platforms that everyday people use. So I thought that, you know, OnlyFans was going to turn into a platform that all creators use. That's kind of like a little bit similar to Patreon, but Patreon, you can Patreon. You know, at one point it was like, yeah, we're gonna get rid of all the OnlyFans content, and then, you know, hit them in the pocket and they're like, just kidding, you're OnlyFans. And I was like, oh. So let's recognize where at that time in my life I was surrounded by lots of people whose perspective of it was that like my level of understanding of outside of my own reality, outside of the friends that I had, the models that I had, the people that I was surrounded by, that wasn't the perception of what was going on with the platform. And like that just goes to show how grounded and centered I was in my world on social media. And like the external world is not the world I knew. Like we all have niches that we follow at this point that these platforms keep feeding to us because they are the things that we already enjoy and already like. And the thing is like the level of expansion and understanding of people who literally have a totally different media experience is almost lost on us, even though we're aware of it. That like what you know is what you know, and the reality you live in is the reality you live in. And like just being aware of the fact that like your reality or your media is not everybody's media, and we are all consuming the same things. Nobody knows what they don't know. And remember that you don't know what you don't know. And your platforms are only showing you what it thinks you want to know. So be aware of that. Now, my experience isn't 100% that because I was trying to like make an early prediction on a social media trend that I thought was gonna flip, but in the way that, you know, a lot of the people that I was surrounded around, making that wasn't like a crazy wild, like, oh my gosh, making OnlyFans. Whereas like there are other places in the United States where like, if I'm like, oh, I have an OnlyFans, they're like, oh my god, but like they're not gonna register it the way the creators do, where they're like, what's that guy or that guy? And they're gonna be like, you have an OnlyFans? You know, like it's not the same. So just bear that in mind. Unfollow your friends and family. Yes, I said it. Do it. Drop those motherfuckers like flies. Hear me out. You do not need to know what your Aunt Becky had for lunch yesterday. But when it comes to like your regular everyday content, you need to be supporting and filling your mind with the things that are in alignment with your goals and nothing else. Because at the end of the day, that is not a necessity in your life. What is a necessity in your life is knowing what people are posting in your industry. Sidebar. I got this little thing from TikTok for the window shield. It's like a makeup mirror, but I'm hoping. Oh yeah, that'll do. Ooh, damn, that's really hell. Okay, wait, okay, there we go. Oh yeah, we gotta do that. Okay, hold on. Another super important lesson is to learn to formulate your own opinions. Boom! When I say that this was probably one of the biggest things I learned throughout this damn digital detox, I am not joking with you guys, because not having your phone or not having TV or media to turn to, there were many times where I was like, oh, I should just look this up. Or I was looking for somebody else's opinion on something where like I just needed to make my own opinion. And I recognize where it's so easy for us to go to the influence of other people in modern day media where like we don't even think our own thoughts. And I was definitely a person who was doing that. 110% up. Like I'll give you guys prime time example. Toward the end of this experience, when I was like, okay, like starting to think about like in journal, you know, what I want life to be like after this, and how will I be changing after this experience, that kind of thing. Deciding like if I wanted to watch TV anymore or not. If I was like TV's just totally gone for me, you know, or like the same thing with like eating while watching TV. And I was like, are there negatives to eating while watching TV? Should I not be eating while watching TV? And it's like, girl, you decide for yourself. Should you not be eating while you're watching television? Is that what you want to do or not do? Like those are the things. Ask yourself. it's just the basic thing of not looking for somebody else's expert opinion or just somebody's opinion in general. If you're on TikTok, whether it's a good or a bad opinion, develop your own opinion first. Then you can go and listen to other people's perspectives. But like, what do you think? Oh, yeah, I do want to talk about this. No news. I had no access to news in the sense like I didn't have access to celebrity gossip or like news about the election or things like that. Like I came back to the world and Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher were getting a divorce. I was like, the fuck is going on? Like that was the most shocking thing when I opened my phone, to be honest with you. I was like, whoa. And then I like looked into it further and I was like, whoa. But again, now we're talking about today. You know what I also recognized was like, it was there when I got back. And it was honestly kind of like relieving in its own way to not know anything for an entire week as it pertains to like the media, the gossip, what's going on in life and other people's lives, and blah, 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 blah. Because I actually focused on myself versus allowing my time, energy, and attention to be consumed by focusing on other people. Another big lesson was it's okay to break the rules. I, ladies and gentlemen, am not a rule breaker. At the level to which I do not break rules. Like when I was a kid, and the teacher was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And the teacher was like, no, you can't go to the bathroom. Your girl's gonna sit there and pee herself. Like I was never that kid who would get up and be like, screw you, teacher, and go to the bathroom anyway. I got so much respect for that kid, but I could never be that kid. That kid has to go to the bathroom. You know what happened to me? You know the kid that would have been me? I was sat there peeing myself in pee pants. But sit there, peeing my pants, and then pee pants for the rest of the year. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's okay to break the rules. Now I'm not saying break the laws. Rules are meant to be broken. Laws are meant to be abided by. Okay? But I recognize where I could do for more breaking of the rules, especially as a woman. And the ladies, y'all know what I'm talking about. Ooh, big lesson. Big lesson. Give yourself the time to find your deeper why. Every self-help book, every self-improvement, even finance improvement, like anything that's supposed to help you grow, they're always like, find your why. If you want to build a business, find your why. If you want to start working on your finances, find your why. Like that's always the thing. And it'll give you like one page. It's like, find your why, write down why, and then make sure you know why, because that's the underlying thing that'll keep you pushing. Spend more time than just that one page in the book to find your why whenever you see that question in a book or whenever you see that question in life in general, because finding your deeper why is what will motivate you to actually get it done. I think part of the reason that I have been consistent with my YouTube channel as of late and have actually been posting videos and everything is because during this experience of spending a week on the phone or TV, I found my real why. I think for the first time in my life, like the deeper underlying why. And that has been so incredibly honoring as it pertains to changing my life and pushing me to do the things that I actually want to do. I'm in a totally different headspace now because I actually know my why now. And it's not a surface level why, it's a deep, profound, meaningful why. And I never would have found that why if I didn't actually give the adequate amount of time to figure out what it was. In all honesty, I think that an experience like this will make you find your why because like I said before, you've now created the time and the space for the downloads to come in, for the thought process to come in, to think about the things. Your why is in there somewhere, it's going to fall out. Rome was not built in a day. And baby girl, you were trying to build an empire. Oof, what a lesson. I got roasted by my own thoughts when I had this one. Rome wasn't built in a day and I'm trying to build a social empire. Rome wasn't built in a day and I literally want to build a music empire by being a singer-songwriter and influencing the minds of others in a positive direction through the use of my music. Like, that's not something I'm gonna do in one day. And if you're one of those people who's a high achiever, overachiever, you're watching self-help and self-improvement videos, I'm certain you're probably a high achiever, overachiever person. If you're a high achiever, overachiever person, please remember that you were trying to build Rome, girl. Stop forgetting that you're trying to build Rome. And Rome was not built in a day. And the other thing that I wrote down was so profound. Like, I literally was out here writing poetic. Like, some of the things that I wrote during this experience, I didn't even actually read to you guys, but like, hear me out. This one just really like, she hit in the chest, okay? One of the things I wrote down was like, you know that a flower doesn't go, I must blossom by May 23rd in order to be a good flower this spring. Like, no, the flower just grows and it grows and it gives itself the grace to grow and it grows when it's meant to. And it is just there for the springtime as it was meant to be. So like, why are you so stressed out about getting XYZ done by that certain date, bro? Just blossom. Just blossom. Another thing I learned, stare at the ceiling. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Just sit there and stare. The times that I sat there and I stared at the ceiling were when I had the most profound thoughts and the most well-developed understanding of things that helped me to change my perspective and change my life. Like, spend time just staring at the ceiling. Just sit there in dead silence and stare. Because there were so many times throughout this experience where like I was like, okay, well I'm in the middle of doing da-da-da-da, and I didn't really like have anything to do, but did have things to do. And I was like, okay, well I'm just gonna sit here for 10 minutes. And when I sat there for 10 minutes, I would literally like figure out this thing that I've been thinking about for like 7 years and how to actually accomplish it. Or I would just sit there and I would stare, and then all of a sudden I'd be like, oh, there's that one thing that I lost. I know exactly where it is. Like it'll just come down. So like just stare at the ceiling. Literally just be like, boop. Mind blown. Lastly, but certainly not least, stop adding rules. I realized throughout this experience that there were so many different rules that I was adding to my own life that didn't actually need to be there, or I didn't actually want them. I was adding them because other people enjoyed them, or I was adding them because I felt like I was supposed to. I'll give you guys a prime example. Wine. Your girl loves wine. I love wine. But I was centered around a bunch of friends who were all like no alcohol. They're like very like Gen Z, or like trying to be like what it is, you know? I actually enjoy having a glass of wine in my life. So why am I trying so hard to fit in to what it is that we're supposed to be doing by being like, nope, I'm not drinking wine anymore because I'm trying to fit in. So that's a rule that I put over my life that didn't even actually have to be there. A glass of wine for a person who loves wine. What the hell? And I get that there's a certain level of like, oh, well, you know, like it causes dehydration and there's alcohol and spirits and all that kind of stuff. And like, I'm not discrediting any of those things, not alcohol for XYZ, but sometimes that's good for you and it's beneficial. And I will still do that. I'm not gonna say there's gonna be times in my life where I'm not like, okay, I'm going no alcohol for November. I'm not doing that for November. But like, I'm definitely still going to do that from time and time again, but just recognizing where like, I'm not doing that anymore in order to fit in or feel like I'm doing the right things when they're not the right things for me. Like, that's keeping me away from communities and people that I know that in this lifetime I'm meant to be a part of. I want to be one of the wine moms that goes to vineyards and, you know, knows a lot about wine and goes to Champagne in France for summer. Like, how am I ever gonna be that girl if I don't drink wine? No. So I would totally get it if like wine gave me headaches or wine made me feel sick, but like I do not have that experience. So that's not something I need to keep for myself. Because for me personally, I genuinely love the taste of wine. And I love having a glass of wine. And I think part of it is because I watched way too many Shonda Rhimes shows in this lifetime. Like Scandal, hello, red glass of wine and some popcorn in the evening. Yes. I don't even really like drink wine to get drunk. I drink wine because I like the taste of wine. I recognize now that part of that was not wanting to be judged by other people who I felt like would judge me for drinking wine. At the end of the day, it's like, does the judgment of those other people matter? No, not really. And it's like, okay, so then why aren't you drinking something that literally brings you joy, makes you happy, and you want to? Brother, what? Like me personally, I recognize where something else like marijuana, right? For some people, marijuana totally works for them. I have no business smoking marijuana. It gives me anxiety, it gives me headaches, I'm always drained the next day. That is the worst hangover I experience as a person, right? And I've learned that the hard way firsthand. Okay, I'm still my own team. And I recognize where like, that's not the right thing for me. But that doesn't mean that wine can't be a thing that I enjoy. You see what I'm saying? Because I have the same level of judgment around it to me. Because not only does it cause me anxiety, it also actively slows me down. It's not something that I truly enjoy doing. I enjoy the feeling of cough fitting in when I do it, but I don't actually enjoy weed. So why am I even trying it or saying yes or whatever in those situations? Like even the vice versa. You see what I'm saying? Like both sides of the coin. Like where is that benefiting me as it pertains to my life as a whole? It's not. Whereas I totally understand that for some people, it literally helps them to excel. Some people, it gets rid of certain pains that they have in order for them to be able to function in society. It helps them to rest their mind enough that they can actually think their thoughts and be able to communicate them. Like for some people, it is literally healing for them. And when it really comes down to it, I think it's just more like everybody needs to just do what works for them. And me realizing that there are definitely rules I put in place over my life over things that do work for me, where I'm not allowing myself to have those things in order to fit in. Because at some point, it becomes about the fact that you're trying to please, like you're people pleasing everyone and everything around you by trying to please what society thinks you should be, or trying to please what you think your friends think you should be, or things of that nature. But at the end of the day, it's like just stop doing things for the opinions of other people and formulate your own damn opinion. I think that's probably the biggest lesson that I learned. I know I already said that, but just on this level of like understanding that formulate your own opinion and then do the things that you enjoy in life that make you who you are. Stop trying to be for everybody. All right, my digital detox warriors. If you are part of the Monday Mentality Challenge, this is your loving reminder that you are supposed to be off your phone, off your TV at 10 o'clock. So shut it down, baby girl, if it's late like it is right now for me. Crucial part of your all-encompassing wellness journey, and I want to see you succeed. So that's my reminder. Don't act like you don't even have to turn off today, because I told you. If you're not familiar with the Monday Mentality Challenge, it's an all-encompassing wellness challenge, and I will go ahead and link the video somewhere in this vicinity, or it'll be down in the description box. And if you guys want to check that out, you're more than welcome to doing so. The Mentality Challenge is way more than just a digital detox. It's literally all of the steps, habits, and tricks, like in my opinion, that can transform your life within a 75-day period. So if you're really looking for drastic and dramatic transformation, that's the video. So save that video and come back to it later so you can watch it, put it in your watch later, and then come back. You want to check out the Monday Mentality Challenge, you're like, girl, I'm ready for deep transformation, babe. Okay, well, go ahead and save that video, because I'm about to ask you to do something a little bit drastic and a little unorthodox. I know, me being a person from the internet telling you to do this, I'm gonna ask you to turn off your device. I know. Wow, you did hear me right. Hit the power button, click, she's the boy before you go. Your mission, should you choose to accept it. The next hour, do something that doesn't involve your screen. So go read a book, go do your skincare, go stretch a little bit, go for a walk, and then once you come back, go ahead and leave a comment and let me know what you did that little bit of time and how it felt to be off of your phone for an hour or so. And then, let us all know in the comment section your experience and the insights that you had, because I would love to hear them. Like, did you notice something new about yourself or something new about your surroundings? Or did you just have an existential crisis because you're like, oh my god, I don't know how to live on my phone for an hour. This is absolutely freaking ridiculous. Why did I listen to this one? Either way, let us know. Let me know. I would love to hear you. That every journey starts with a single strut, or in this case, a single click of the heels, but also a click of the power button. So please be brave, be bold, but most importantly, be yourself. Because trust me when I say, there's a future you and a less addicted you who is so grateful for the decisions you're about to make. So, it's a long Monday, and today I'm hitting the power button and I'm signing off. I love you. And I will see you guys on the other side of the screen.